are you today? You look great. You look beautiful, radiant. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing well. Yeah.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's Day. That's right. I keep forgetting it's Valentine's Day because I don't have a date. It's like, oh, yeah,
You are your best date.
I do have a date. I'm the one.
You can like really relish enjoying yourself, pampering, taking care of yourself, going for a walk, doing whatever the 5-year-old Amy would have liked to do.
There you go. There you go. Now you're talking. Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in North Carolina. The sun is out. Like it's been
Mhm.
way too cold. And it's like now, I think in 50s or something, or something warm-ish. And it
Yeah.
feels like tropical because it's been so cold. And it's like, oh, this just feels so good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and a few weeks ago we had several days that were like 30 degrees. And I've never been in Florida in the winter, and now I live here, and it was like, what is going on? It's freezing, literally. Now it's back in the 70s and sunny. I'm like, okay, this is better. I like
Uh,
this.
one day, I'm gonna be living in southern Florida for winters. It is warm and beautiful, and I cannot stand the cold anymore, like even for 3 months or 4 months.
Yeah, yeah.
Good for you. So you moved to Florida. Tell us more. What made you move?
I moved here to be close to my dad. He is in an independent living facility. I was caregiving for my parents for several years, and now he moved from Atlanta here, and I moved here just to be close to him and close to family. And here I am. It's beautiful. It's great.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I moved here in October. It's taking a while to meet people. I'm so focused on my business, which is, me sitting in my apartment looking at my laptop most of the time, pretty much all the time.
Mhm.
So I need to get out there more. I'm going to join a book club, I think, and meet people that way. So,
Mm.
but yeah, it's been good.
So I know we just started chatting, and welcome, Amy. So good to
Thank
have you
you.
here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Viva.
You help people write their books. Tell us more.
Yes. So I work with women entrepreneurs, coaches, professionals, supporting them, mentoring them, and writing their self help book specifically. So it's their book that tells their personal story, shares their lessons in life, where they're sharing challenges they've been through. And I do that because I read a million and one self-help books a day. It feels like I just consume them like crazy. I can't get enough. And so that's what I do. I'm so passionate about it.
Mm. Love
Mm.
that. That is so beautiful. And you are a beautiful soul. So if anybody has a book on their mind, but they haven't started, they know they need a little bit of help, connect with Amy. We will put in links in the show notes of how to follow Amy, how to get in touch with her. But tell us more how you got here. How did you get to figuring out this is what I want to do?
Mhm. Oh, that's the story, right, that goes back to being 5 years old. However long I can remember in my life, loving reading, wanting to write stories, wanting to write books. And for so long, it just didn't happen, in large part because I was reading so many novels, so much fiction, and I love that, but I don't have that in me, at least so far in my life. I don't have a narrative with a plot and a setting and the story and everything that fiction writers do, which I admire and love so much. I was always so confused of, okay, I love writing, I love reading, and I just don't have this. So what do I do? How do I write books, I had no idea. I didn't want to write memoirs or essays necessarily, journalism. Like there are so many different kinds of writing, and none of them were a good fit until I had a therapist several years ago who started prescribing essentially self help books and suggesting books for me to read, and I started reading them, and it was life-changing, both as a reader to apply what I was learning to my life, and also as a writer, it just lit me up of like, "This is it. This is it. I found it." And it was so exhilarating and so much fun, and I've now written 2 self-help books, self-published them, and now I'm coaching women to do the same.
I love that. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing that. And I can totally see, because I dove deeper into the whole writing aspect because of my son. He's in high school. And it's interesting you say that because he actually has that fiction writing in him. He actually enjoyed it, and he did well. And that was exactly it's one of his zone of geniuses, and we talked about it. And, I did more research, but I can totally see how, first of all, how there's so many avenues, right? So many paths you can take as a writer, and how I think this first, like, thought, this automatic societal planted thought, writer fiction,
Mhm.
and that how it would be hard to get to the answers and the path of
Mhm.
self-help because it's not like the first thing, right, that's taught in schools, or
Right.
maybe more, even though it's obviously they're selling billions of, I mean, millions of, I think, it's a big industry, but somehow
Mm.
it's not intuitive, right?
It's easy to miss. Like you say, I mean, I have an English degree. I've studied literature forever, and I didn't know about personal growth books. We that was way out of the lesson plans that I experienced. We were into Shakespeare and literature and plays, and which I loved, but again, I didn't see myself writing anything like that.
That is baffling, amazing and baffling, just given how it's not like it's a small industry.
Mhm, mhm. Right,
But I
right,
commend you for going for English, and keeping on the path kind of that you knew.
right.
It's amazing.
Did. Yeah, and I mean, I loved writing. I wrote poetry in college. I performed my poetry. I loved that so much. I loved the academic writing. Like it just I always knew that I was a writer. It was just in terms of being published, having other people read it, let alone making a living from being a writer, it was like beyond my comprehension.
Were people telling you, take a different path because this is like an artist's way and you're not gonna make a living?
100%. Absolutely, which was heartbreaking. I mean, I
Mm,
had mentors, I had professors that I looked up to and admired. I had a professor in college who said flat out, making a living as a writer is very, very difficult. Eh, eh,
mm,
wow. Oh, what a painful
mm,
thing that was.
mm.
That
I
was
feel it.
hard.
I feel it.
Yeah.
It's like soul crushing. And I remember, so first of all, where are the poems? I want to ask. Do you
What
still
are the
write them?
poems?
Where are the poems? Yeah, do you still write them?
I do. I like leave the poetry alone for years at a time, it seems like, and then I get back to it and I'm obsessive and it just shows up sometimes and I can't stop writing. So,
I think we
uh,
need to see the poetry. The world needs the poetry. If you enjoy it, if you enjoy it. It's like, have you heard this song? I'm gonna now pull up my phone because I'm looking up. There's a song by Joe D. Messina. I just want to make sure I'm not completely Joe. Um, Joe Messina, a lady, and the song is called Burn. And it's a
Yeah.
beautiful song about essentially, again, the possibilities and doing what's on your heart and soul. And the first line is, do you want to be a poet and write? It's the most
Wow.
beautiful song. You should listen to it.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And it gave me chills as I said it.
Yeah.
Because it's so interesting. I know that we talked, and I know that you have a beautiful process. And that's when I said that you're a beautiful soul. I didn't mean it lightly. We've talked in the past. And then, kind of that's how we decided to do this conversation and record it. Is that you have this beautiful, gentle, supportive, and kind of like really seeing the person that you work with process.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, that has been so true. I've had I've had women come to me, and so often, um, so many women, even very successful professionals and marketing experts, and women like that, think that they're not good at writing a book, or think that they don't have a good enough idea for a book. And they come to me, and it's so funny to me, so fascinating how women so often we don't see ourselves and we don't see what we have to offer. And I ask questions that pull out the details of, like, what's the story? Why do you even want to write a book? Where's this coming from? And to me, it's so clear that yes, there's a book here. That's what I tell people all the time. Like, yeah, you have a book. Yeah, I see it. And so I try to mirror that back to people because we all need that in life for so many things, for people to see us and mirror our truth back to us.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
what came to me, you're like an angel, like for the people, and I've had it in my own life that definitely to go from where you're at to whatever is a timeline, the version of life that you can imagine for yourself. That like for me, my truth has been that you definitely need you don't need many people, but you need the right people who have actualized that timeline and can help you. I mean, it's a stupid word like ascend, but it's essentially that's the idea. That's the only word that's coming to me. But essentially, because it is like an opportunity, it's a possibility, it's kind of like pulling you up. But what you
Mhm.
said, that you do sometimes the gap is made by that other person seeing you, validating you. And through that beautiful alchemy, there's like a deeper process that's happening that's allowing you to lift up, lift up higher, like with a
Mhm.
beautiful balloon.
Yes, yes.
You're the
And the women
balloon.
that yeah, it's gorgeous. And the women that I work with, a lot of them are coaches. And so they know how to do that for other people. But so often we don't receive what we're giving. And that's so important. It's so important.
Mm, yeah, yeah. And it's kind of, there's always a little bit of the next level of like when you're highly functional or high functioning, high performing. Um, the hardest thing, as straight as it sounds, but to actually integrate it is the receiving. And
Yeah.
not just in words, not just in concepts, but actually receive the support,
Mhm.
allow it,
Mhm.
and not talk yourself out of it. And I think you do it so beautifully. You're like a beautiful angel.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. One thing that before when we started talking about the writing, it's so interesting in poetry is because I have started writing more myself. And I never
Mm.
thought of myself as a writer. And it's the biggest joke that the universe has played on me in a way that I was researching writing for my son.
Mhm.
because, I I know how this world can disconnect you from yourself. I've been on a journey of activating my own purpose, right, and seeking for years. And I didn't want my son, right, to face these conversations that people will tell you. And so I talk to him about his strengths, what comes naturally to him, what he enjoys, so he knows, right? It's not some sort of a path that you put in the background, because the practical world will tell you all kinds of bullshit. And I also remember I've gone to volunteer at high school, and how there was this girl in high school, and she's like, I love to write, and this gives me, the chills, or I feel it in my heart, and like the sadness that, but it's not something that I'm gonna do right away. She was like only in ninth or 10th, maybe 11th grade, and she had
Mhm.
already written it off.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Was this recently? When
This is
was it?
like 2 years ago, I would say, one or
Oh,
2 years
wow.
ago. Yeah, and I tried to like, wait, wait, wait. You
Yeah.
have to lean in, or that's not true. But I could see she's already swallowed that hook of that
Mhm.
fuckery belief
Right.
that it's not practical, that I have to do something that I don't like.
Yes. Oh, yes. And, the whole idea of the starving artist, I think about self-publishing, which has been my experience with my 2 books that I've written so far. And I'm so grateful to be doing this now because, back when I was a kid in the 90s, if you wanted to write books and you could either approach a publishing company, which required a literary agent, the proposal, it's a very in-depth process, or you could self-publish. But if you did that, you had to have multiple copies of your book printed at your own expense and then sell them like from the back of your car, like out of your trunk. Like, hey, like how do you sell these things, right? And now I'm in a group on Facebook and there I see so many authors on there posting and saying, "Oh, I made 6 figures last year. Here's how I did it, writing my books. Oh, I made 7 figures last year." I mean, we're just in a totally different universe with self-publishing being so easy. And I also want to point out that self publishing used to be looked down upon. It used to be this idea of like, oh, you had to self publish because you couldn't get a publisher. It's not like that anymore. We all know that self publishing is a very valid path. I'm not saying that this girl that you talked to has to go the self-publishing route, but I'm just pointing out there are so many opportunities now. That's why I asked you, like, when did this conversation happen? Because that sounds like something that would have happened 30 years ago. Like, how are we still teaching children that art doesn't pay? It's literally not true. Literally not true.
This is a reality of many schools. They live in like the high schools, and even what you said, you were going for a bachelor's degree. I mean, it's like in ways we live in the dark ages still, even though I'm glad that this is why I want to have conversations like this. This is why I wanted you to come and talk about it. I'm glad you're talking about the options, because anybody who will hear this conversation, it's a possibility, right? You're helping open the eyes to what could be, right? And only people who will be able to see it for themselves, right? You do have to have an opening to
Mhm.
this possibility as well. You won't be able to pull somebody out if they have swallowed that hook. I don't fish, but like this analogy has been coming to
Yes.
me. Like, this world will give you a lot of false hooks, and you
Yes.
can take the bait and then you run it on your own because it's deep within you, or you can release the chains.
Mhm. That's right. That's
Love it.
right. And
You know,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, that's part of the joy for me of just being in the personal growth industry, let alone coaching people in this industry, is that we have the mindset of growth, of expansion, of mutual supporting each other. You know, we all rise together, and books, especially self-help books, are such a huge part of our industry. It's just almost assumed that if you don't have your own self-help book, you know 20 people who do. Like it's so like people who have podcasts, right? It's not uncommon at all. And so even if there's a mindset piece of who am I to write a book, there's still this knowledge of, yeah, a lot of people in this industry are writing books. So it's easier to get on board with that idea, I think, for people who are already in the industry, which is who I work with.
Do you help people also with the self-publishing journey, or do you just help with the idea and kind of the accountability?
I help people go from idea to a completed manuscript in 12 weeks.
So the
So
manuscript,
from
though, can you tell us more? Like, so if they want to self-publish, like, is that a part of it, or
No, not a part of my coaching. There are other aspects to it that are required. Once you complete the 12 weeks, you have the manuscript to go on to the next steps of likely hiring an editor, self-publishing, and then of course the marketing, which that is its whole own thing, its own world. Again, so many opportunities to do that for free, even now, nowadays. But my coaching is specifically on the writing process. And the reason I focus on that, there are a lot of writing coaches out there, but what I see are so many coaches kind of jumping to the end point of let's make your book so you have a business asset that will support your income, which, of course, a book in our industry is designed to do. But I am so passionate about the creative process. And part of that comes especially from my own experience of writing my first book, which is called Sacred Journaling, which is about my process of dialoguing with my higher self in my journal writing. And in my experience of writing that book, which I had wanted to write since college, that's when I started that journaling practice. So around that time that I was told writing was really difficult for a living, I had that idea for the book. And 18 years later, I wrote it and self published it. But in that process, I was completely transformed. I experienced my spiritual awakening, and I attribute that to writing that book, to sitting down, doing the process from start to finish of what is my methodology, what is my experience of journaling with my higher self. And so by reflecting on that and writing it in a way that I can share it with others, the writing process itself transformed my life in a way that I can't even put into words. And so I'm so passionate about the writing process. I don't want that to be overlooked. I don't want that to be rushed. Even in 12 weeks might sound like it's fast, but when you're focused on the writing, when you go through the process, it's enough time to be with your book, which is so important before you go to publish it, before you go to share it. You have to be with it. You have to be in that process. You have to be transformed by it if you want your reader to experience that transformation. So that's what I'm all about. It's like, let's look at the writing. Let's look at the writing.
you have to be with your book? I think
Mhm.
it's beautiful and it's true.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's a checkbox,
Right.
and
Oh,
you
I
go,
don't do that. Don't make it a I'm so passionate about writing, and it's no, don't make it a checkbox. Don't make it that.
"That's
Don't
all
let
right."
it be minuscule. Don't let it be insignificant. No way.
Yeah. That's why I want more people to know about you.
I appreciate it very, very much. I mean, I can go on all day, and I plan to. I'll probably be doing this niche for the rest of my life. I can definitely see that happening. It's just so vital, important, obvious to me that we cannot overlook this work. And we all have our purpose in life, as you know. You're so passionate about that question of what is our life purpose? How do we express that? For me, it's writing. That's
Wonderful.
the biggest part. There's more, but I can't go through the day without writing something, a journal entry, part of a poem, whatever it is. Yeah.
And do you publish those? Like, I know you help others, but do you, as you continue to write, what's next in writing for Amy?
I'm writing poetry. When I say I'm writing poetry right now, I mean I'm scribbling lines into a notebook. So I don't even have one completed poem. It's just ideas are flowing with the intention to make probably a series of poems that I will perform. I don't know where they might be published, but I want to perform them. And that's very exciting. And then as far as self-help books, I'll never stop. I'll never stop writing self-help books. I have a few ideas kind of percolating, but I'm not sure which one is next.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love the poetry. I can't wait. Have you heard of Substack? I'm sure you have. Like, I find a lot of writers are on that platform and that it's a good platform for starting, right? For writing, wherever you are in your writing journey.
Yes, I'm subscribed to several people's Substack newsletters. I'm using Kit, which used to be called ConvertKit, for my emails. I
Mhm.
send out a newsletter every week. That's been working well for me, but I keep feeling the call to check out Substack more closely,
Yeah.
because there's more of a community over there. It's kind of like social media combined with newsletters.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
very cool.
I just started because so when I shared that song with you, and I so agree that writing serves either as your own process. I love how you shared that it was like a process of diving in deeper, right? And realizing a lot of things for yourself, right? A transformational process. It's also a tool to share. Like, so how I am using it now is that exactly what you're saying, just in a way that I'm sharing what I have gone through and
Mhm.
what has helped me, what have been the steps and the path to realize the next level of my own timeline of living out a life of my own making, of my
Mhm.
own terms.
Mhm.
And so kind of like sharing what were those needle making or needle moving
Mhm.
um, processes, this alchemy. And that's kind of how I have been now called to write about it. And I guess a podcast for me, it's kind of like the podcast, and then
Mhm.
I write. And so now that's why I said I feel like the universe is playing the biggest joke on me that I researched writing. I know I reached out to you some time ago for my son, right? To model
Mhm.
it as a possibility, to look into different people, who are writers, and kind of what are the different options. And now, just like in the last few weeks, my own soul and essence has been presenting this writing as a part of my purpose. And I'm like, you can't make this shit up.
Oh, that's funny. That is so cool. So did your son's writing come from you, or did you get it from him? Like, which
Well, he got it. He has his own soul and essence in
Yeah,
it.
right,
Like
right.
thankfully, at least I'm attuned enough to notice and just to mirror it to him, and say it
Mhm.
is a possibility if you want to activate it, right? Because it's like just because it's a possibility doesn't mean that somebody will choose to fulfill on it, right? And he has his own decision making, so I'm leaving that alone. But to me, it just came in the last few weeks.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. I don't think it has anything to do with him, but it's like I can see the joke.
Definitely. Definitely.
And as you were talking about, like, the traditional way of publishing and how it used to be this big process, right? And almost like uh, process, it's almost like an obstacle, right? To keep a lot of people away or out of it. And now how democratized it has become if you have an open mind. I have the book Alchemist here, which obviously was written many years ago. But do you know the story of Paulo Coelho, the author of The Alchemist?
No.
So, as you were speaking about it, this is exactly in the foreword what he says, that when alchemists, so this is Paulo Coelho's book that's now obviously has become very popular. It was first published 25 years ago in his native Brazil, and no one noticed. So self-publishing was not an option, I guess, for him. A bookseller in the northeast corner of the country told me that only one person purchased a copy of this book the first week of its release. It took another 6 months for the bookseller to unload a second copy. And that was to the same person that
Mm,
bought the first. And then who knows how long it took to sell the third. And by the end of the year, it was clear that Alchemist, that this book, right, that's now world renowned, was not working. And his
mm,
original publisher dropped him, canceled the contract. They wiped their hands. He was 41 and desperate. But
mm,
he never lost faith and never wavered in his vision because in his heart and soul, he was living his own metaphor. So the book is about finding the purpose. This boy goes on this journey to find his own purpose. And a man sets, he went out on a journey, dreaming of a beautiful or magical place in pursuit of some unknown treasure.
mhm,
And he was that boy that he wrote about that went on this journey to
mm.
find his personal legend, his
Yeah.
treasure.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Love that.
So I love how you help people because it is we do need people to see us, I think, because it can be an arduous and sometimes not as smooth of a process, and we need people kind of to hold us in different ways, to
Mhm.
see us and to encourage us to keep going.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you like to share that I haven't asked?
I would love to share something specific about the writing process that I coach people on, just to kind of lift the veil on that process. For me, it's a marriage between the masculine structure and the feminine flow. So oftentimes, like I've had clients come to me and say, I haven't started yet and I have no idea where to begin. Or they come to me and say, I've written all these chapters, but I don't know what to do with them. It's not flowing. And I always go back to we need the masculine structure, we need the outline, we need to know the purpose of this book, the transformation. Where are we going? Where are we going with it? And within that structure, the book can flow, the writing can flow, our life purpose, our creativity, all these things can flow through us. I often find, especially with women, that they get into the flow, that's where they want to jump in. And I pull it back and say, wait, let's look at the big picture and make a plan, which sometimes creatives don't like that, right? Artists or writers might resist having a plan in place because we want it to flow, we want it to be expansive. But I love to put the two together of the masculine structure and the feminine flow because it leads to freedom of expression. In my writing my books, I I would not have been able to write them without an outline and knowing where I was going. I've written so much, I can write pages and pages of journaling, but when I'm writing for a specific reader and I have a purpose in mind and I have a direction that I'm going in, writing a book becomes doable in 12 weeks, which is what I coach on. So it's a really fun process when you have all the pieces in place, I have found.
How was it for you for your first book? So when you started writing, like, did you have to make yourself, or kind of how did you how did it work for you?
I had the idea for the book for sacred journaling almost 20 years ago when I was in college. And I was doing the journaling consistently for all those years. Um, but I didn't know how to write a book, is what it felt like. I just didn't know where to begin. I didn't know how to start. And I hired my own writing coach. And she taught me, walked me through her process, and that made all the difference, was to have somebody there, like we were talking about earlier, to have someone there, to be a mirror, to hold the space, to hold the process. That made all the difference for me.
Mm. And how much of it was also the timing? Because sometimes you can force, and like you said, you had it for 18, 20 years, and
Mhm.
sometimes the timing is just you don't have enough clarity on your message, enough depth. How much do you see that, it's more like your mind trying to get a checkbox, like you said, it's an asset, blah, blah, blah. Again, these house of cards of this world and this 3D making, right? But when there's not enough yet, it's not the right time.
Yeah, I think there's something to that for my experience. By the time I came to the book, I was more embodied in the practice than I had been. I
Mm,
was doing it more consistently, and I got to go deeper in a way that I hadn't before, which served both the book that I was writing to share with the world and also my own process. That's why it was so transformative for me to write that book. Was Yeah, it probably took close to 2 decades of my life experience being shaped by dialoguing with my higher self, and how I got to this place of feeling like an authority to be able to say, looking back, this is what the difference was in being able to do this practice. This is why I'm sharing this with you, being able to share my extensive experience, as opposed to, oh, I started doing this 2 months ago. Let me write a book about it real quick. It
mm.
wasn't that at all.
And there's
Yeah.
a different resonance, right? There's a different signal that comes, and it actually eliminates a lot of those kind of circles that we loop around, when we're not ready. And it's interesting that you say that, because I see it, right? I see it at the next level, at the next depth. Like, we started talking about, like, I was having back pain, right? Because I also teach somatic movements. I teach qigong, right? And the last few days, I've been sitting and I've been podcasting, and I've been just looking at content. It's all about on the computer, phone, sitting, whatever it is, but I'm not living in the integrity with, I know that I have to move to be healthy, to have well-being. This is why it is a part of my purpose, because it's just my body doesn't work well without movement. And we and I recorded also a video about manifestation. And this is not a judgment. This is why I am sharing. We all are walking this path. And what I see clearly now, why we are not manifesting, right? What we say we want to manifest is because we are not making the choices. And it's not that you're a bad person. It's no judgment call, right, on anybody because I see it in myself still every day. There are nuances and there's depth, right? Where you are choosing the boyfriend, right, that's good enough, but it will
Mhm.
never be your highest timeline. It's not in according an integrity what you say, what your heart and soul truly desire. The
Mhm.
same how I was choosing jobs and environments and staying in them because they paid well, right? But it was a cage for my soul. When
Mhm.
it was a slow drip on my life force. And like,
Mhm.
so my eyes have opened up wide, and this kind of the movement and the back pain is just we get these echoes and invitations, like
Yes.
walk the walk, right?
Yes.
Live. And then this universe, whatever you believe, will open that timeline that you say you want.
Mhm.
And it will, but you have to like send the shockwave to the universe
Yeah.
by living it, by choosing it
Mhm.
every day or
Yeah.
most days. I mean, no, it's no perfection needed, but it's at different levels, whatever level you want to choose, the game you want to play. But I mean, it just really, really resonates with everything that we're talking about.
Yes. I love the word integrity that you used, and the word I thought of was embodiment, of
Mm-hmm.
being who we be, right? The
Mm-hmm.
choices. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Because your soul knows, like, you don't have to, like, on Instagram, you can post, like, I am here and looking very pretty, living my best life. But God, you
Yeah.
cannot spoil your soul, your essence, and you are that tuning fork
Mhm.
through
Mhm.
embodiment.
Yes.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful, it sometimes kicks your ass every day.
Absolutely. It's both. It's both. For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I love, love, love what you do. And yeah, tell us how can people find you, connect with you, follow you?
I am active on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, on those platforms. You can find me there. I have a podcast called the Self Help Authors Playbook. Um, and I just started that recently. I'm loving it. We're going to put out solo episodes and interviews similar to this one every week. And it's going to be a great resource. So I'm very excited to share it. And I have a freebie that is designed to help people um, create that foundational piece for their book. The first step to really become the author of the book that they want to write. So I'm happy to share that as well.
Amazing. All of it will be in the show notes. If you haven't, can you email all of the socials and all these links to me so people
Yes.
can navigate and just click on the show notes and connect with you? Podcast. Tell us more. How did you start the podcast? What prompted you to do that?
I have always wanted to have a podcast. I listen to podcasts. And I have a business coach who said, start a podcast, Amy. Now, do not wait. And I'm so glad that she said that because I love expressing myself with my voice.
Mm,
And to be able to create that kind of content, it's so interesting because with a podcast, it's really private in a way. It's so intimate. You listen to someone's podcast, they're speaking directly to you, as opposed to finding a piece of content on Instagram, for example, where it doesn't feel as intimate. It can be value giving, it can be really positive. But podcasts are becoming such a huge passion for me. I'm excited about it.
I love that. I think that's why I was attracted to Substack. I just started writing on there, like I have 2 articles or something. Is because of the long form content. My heart and soul is not really on the surface level.
Hmm. I hear you. Yeah, for sure.
How do you balance? Okay, so let's say somebody, an entrepreneur, a coach is listening. How do you balance all these mediums, right? All these podcasts, you mentioned LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, right? There's
Mhm,
YouTube. Like there can be this, again, this external,
mhm,
advice.
mhm,
Well, just do all the things, right? There's this external pressure to show up. And if you produce the content for one, might as well purpose it and
mhm,
blast it all over. But honestly, I'm really now looking and evaluating where is the alignment and to really focus on a couple of places because I'm an introvert myself, so I need a lot of downtime. Like I am not one of those people that go, 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 keep producing, like always generating something. My process and my own like unique ideas and how I see things and how I can help people activate their own process come through stillness, come
mhm,
through not consuming, come from this alchemy and walks and needing a lot of my own time. So now
mhm,
I treat it as sacred. And
mhm,
that is what fuels, right? That like fuels all the magic, the sparkles, and everything. It's inside out. And how do you manage it? So, like, I've noticed that when I try to do all the things, it depletes me.
mhm. The biggest piece for me, and I'm also an introvert, is to have a long, luxurious morning routine and start to my day, right? Everybody talks about a morning routine, which I love, but I've seen people recommend, 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of journal. No,
5
I take I take 2 hours every single morning. No work, no looking at socials, none of that. I meditate, I pray, I take my time. I might journal, I might read a book, I might go to the beach, whatever is calling to me. I might go for a walk, but it's expansive. It's my time, and I know it's always there for me every day. And so, I mean, even when I go to bed at night, it's not like I'm in this nervous system state of fight or flight of, oh, I have to get up in the morning and do all this work. Absolutely not. I get up in the morning and I have plenty of time and space to myself, to nurture myself, to nourish my soul. I start that way every single day. And from there, it's like by the time around 9 o'clock when I get to work, I'm ready to get to work. Like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hit the ground running. So I do get into the excitement and energy of my business, but I've got to start with plenty of time, not rushed at all for myself.
Nurture and nourish my soul.
Mhm.
You are speaking my language, Amy.
Yes, yes, yes. I know.
What happens if during that kind of that time, right, that you carve out for yourself for downtime, whatever, regenerative time? What
Mhm,
happens if you start recording a podcast or, you have the idea and then you start writing something, right? Because it just comes.
mhm. Yeah, I'll allow myself that creative freedom where if something comes up and it's asking to be expressed, I'll express it. But I don't make it a checkbox, like we were talking about earlier. I don't put that pressure on myself at all. It's just if it comes through and it feels good to express it in that moment, I'll write it down or I'll record a voice note or whatever it is. But it just gets to be fun expression that's open and unstructured.
You're saying profound things. So there are two things that came to me as you're saying. First of all, feel good.
Mhm.
Like, because I used to be this high achieving checking every fucking external box person
Mhm.
and filling my day with like doing everything that I would not care less to put my life force behind if I really was honest.
Mhm. Yes.
And breaking that chain has been something.
Mhm.
And you can, like, I was in corporate, and this is where not sometimes the corporate is not like the it's not necessarily the villain. It's
Mm.
just that you can also keep running the same chain, the same hook, the same program in your own business
Mhm.
and adopt the same thing under the name of entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this external checkbox checking, and I still feel like it's still, I have echoes. It bubbles up, and I'm like, here we go again. You're
Mhm.
starting to function from the checkbox. We
Right.
are like running that script, that faulty script.
Yeah.
Pull your energy back, like unplug this cord. And then you said about feel good. I was so high functioning, right? Like increased responsibility, all like it all looks good on paper, right? In big corporation. And then, you get so smart, so clever that feeling good, like actually using that as a barometer, as a dial.
Mhm.
Is this my direction or not my direction? So when, talk about finding purpose, when people lack clarity, in any area of your life, whether it is your relationship, friendships, or work or purpose, if you dumb it down, it sounds like dumbing it down, but it's the hardest thing, especially for high achieving people, to do is to trust that your barometer, the feel good, is a reliable thing to move from and make
Mhm.
decisions. Does it feel good or no? Yes, no. And
Mhm.
no over analyzing. You don't need like any huge complicated framework. Does it feel
Mhm.
good to you? That is your
Yeah.
answer.
Yes. That's your intuition, right? I mean, that's how it speaks to us through our body, through what does this feel like?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honoring that has
Mhm.
been the biggest walk or
Yes.
journey or pilgrimage. I was interviewing with this one gentleman, Reno Greaves, and he calls it a pilgrimage, and it's literally a pilgrimage, or
Mhm.
it's a climb,
Yes. Right. Right. Yes.
some kind of trekking walk.
Yeah, really.
Until you get to a certain point, then you can start playing.
Right, right. So what do you do in those moments when you find that mindset creeping back in for you of, "Oh, I've got to achieve these things, I have to do everything." What do you do with that?
So I don't call it a mindset because I know it's an energy.
Mhm,
It's a chain. It's like a belief structure. It's like a construct that you have plugged into your energy system. And
mhm,
what I do right now, I have unplugged it. So I have disconnected from it. So it's no longer taking my life force. But the echoes still, so I notice it. It's a much lighter version. Like it's a very light version that still bubbles up. I'm not
mhm,
run by it anymore. It's not
mhm,
owning me. But so it's like, it's a quick noticing, oh, this is what's happening. Isn't that
mhm.
funny? Like, okay, we're not gonna, it's kind of like this NPC character when you look at this game,
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna run that track anymore. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Like,
awesome.
yeah, it's just activating a choice, at certain level of activating your own soul and essence.
Mhm.
It's much less of a struggle, the clarity comes quicker, like, you're like, "Oh, okay, we see what's happening." It's just an
Right,
echo. It's not an echo, it's no longer bullets in the dryer.
right. Yeah, that's great.
So,
I love that. I'm so happy for you
thank you.
that you've disconnected from that and
Yeah,
honored your soul.
yeah. It's been a devotional path. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
still walking it because I'm like, I am committed to activating my highest timeline. And like, I have never felt like I feel right now, like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yes. Yes.
I love
Uh,
it.
yeah.
But,
Good.
yeah, and I'm also I know that we talked about a book. I have that book already inside of me,
Mhm.
and I'm like writing out that, so it's like this alchemy process. Like I already like, so I'm just writing out the chapters, and then at some point I'm like, I'm gonna need to come to Amy to, like you said, to then structure it. But like I'm already clear on the message of what I'm here to do,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
what is it about? Like I have a knowing. I know it's in me, right? And I'm living it. And as I'm living it, I'm dancing with writing it, and then yeah. And it's
Yeah,
fun. It's fun. Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah. And I think anyone who feels called to write a book, they certainly have a message. And on some level, we all know what our message is. A lot of people, I think, can be unconscious. It's like the programming that you were talking about, right? We plug into this programming, and part of that is, again, the starving artist or how writing is hard or whatever the belief system says. Um, Part of my work, I love your word alchemy, like to turn that shit into gold, like unplug from this falsehood, this false way of living. A big part of my work is helping women see their identity as an author. That's a huge part of it. That changes the game as far as showing up to write a book. If you're an author, I took a creative writing class years ago, and I was an aspiring writer. If you would have asked me, I would have said, "Oh, I'm an aspiring writer. I want to be a writer." And this professor, who was incredible, said, "If you're writing, you're a writer. You're already a writer." And just hearing her say that flipped a switch in me, and it was like, oh, damn, it's on. Like, game on. Amy is already a writer. That's when I started performing my poetry. Like, I just felt unstoppable, because we know, I mean, the personal growth industry is talking about identity so much that I've noticed right now. It's for a reason. It is pivotal in my experience, how we identify ourselves. And so that's a big part of my work, is holding up that mirror again to say, no, you are an author. You already are a writer. This book is already here, you know.
I love that it came up, Amy, because I would say most people probably, that's one of the biggest things that a person, like you said, they might be an executive in marketing, or they might be a coach or whatever, that they don't see themselves as an author, or they might not see themselves as a creative. I mean, I can tell you for how many years in my 20s and maybe even 30s, I was running a script that I'm not creative.
Hmm. Yeah. That's very common. That's a very common story, isn't it? For a lot of us, for all of us, is it's like in the educational system that at a young age, we're all creative. We're all very artistic. And then through the years, we're kind of trained out of it because it's not quote unquote practical and it won't earn you money, right? It goes back to that whole idea, um, which is, of course, bullshit. And we know that.
Well, because who is it coming from? It's coming from, this is where it's very important who you take advice from, is because
Mhm.
it's coming from people who have not realized their own highest timeline. Of course, what will they tell you?
Yes. Right. 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 It's like the woman who told me that writing is hard. Well, she had not made a living as a writer. So of course, it's the expression, don't take advice from someone you would not want to trade places with. Like, don't take advice from this source that is so disconnected from your own heart and your own dream and your own desire. It can get so messy, the messaging out there in the world. It's very, very messy.
It's very messy because most people are so disconnected. I released a solo episode on money because you also have to decenter just doing it for the money. This is another chain that this world has on you, is
Mhm,
that everything has to make money, and it's like a leading KPI or leading indicator, and people will tell you a lot of BS
mhm,
in the name of running that program. This is a man-made program. It is not
mhm,
of a living benevolent God. This money structure is man-made from this 3D world. So stop making all of your soul decisions
mhm,
based on this chain. It's a limitation.
mhm. Yes. Yeah,
You know, yes, we need
100%.
tokens. We need tokens in this world. I'm not
Yeah,
denying it, whatever. But don't
right,
make all your life decisions based on tokens they've issued, and now you become an NPC character just collecting tokens.
right, right,
Just running and only
right.
doing it collects tokens.
Right, right. And people think that the Bible says that money is the root of all evil. It does not say that. It says that the love of money is the root of all evil. So money itself is not problematic until we bring this story to it of it's the most pivotal part of my life and I will do anything for it. Right? That's when it becomes problematic, evil, quote unquote, however you want to interpret that word. But um, the love of money, the prioritizing of money, the obsession with money, as opposed to your soul's purpose, your authentic expression, being of service, making a contribution, right? Which, ironically, when we do these things, oftentimes we are compensated. And that can be a source of joy. But um, anytime I've focused exclusively on money, I've been so stressed out that I completely stopped the flow of abundance in my life anyway. So yeah, that's another
Decenter it.
story. Yeah.
Decenter it in, if you want to actualize your highest timeline, the money is not of a living God. You're not going to take those tokens to your
Mm,
afterlife.
mm,
This is of this 3D making.
mhm,
And you are a magnificent soul. So,
mm,
anybody listening, you
mhm,
are so powerful. Just stop. Stop running that track and unplug that cord. I mean, that was one of the biggest things on my own full like essence activation journey. Like it's embedded in us. It has deep chain like lock onto your essence if you allow it. Because like when I looked around, when I looked at myself and I was honest, I was doing work, spending my days. I mean, essentially, this is my life force, choosing at times jobs, at times clients, at times bosses,
mhm,
like because it paid well. That was a number one KPI. While
mhm,
I was stressed, while I was overwhelmed, while my body started to have pains and physical symptoms, while I had no energy or very little energy for my son or what I actually wanted to do, or definitely betraying the purpose or anything that my soul actually came
mhm,
here to do. And I just saw clearly how much of a chokehold I was making, even though I wasn't like checking my checking account all the time, like money was kind of coming freely, and um, but like like most of my life force was being spent based
mhm,
on decisions on monetary aspects of what
mhm,
this world calls safety and abundance.
mm. Yes. Yes, it's like you were talking about earlier about making choices based in integrity
Mhm,
with your soul.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, very common
So
story for a lot of us.
mhm. So just an invitation, like it's like, when you're ready to see the seduction and the noise of this marketplace. Like it's most people are just like blah 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 talking loud, like mitote or how they talk in the Four Agreements, like that Don Miguel reads. Like this
Mhm.
world is loud with a bunch of nonsense,
Yes.
and it will sway you if you don't
Yes,
center yourself.
right.
Yeah, but I loved where our conversation went. And is there anything else that you see that comes up for women, either holding them back or what can help them unlock? That yes, this is the next step, this is for me.
Mhm. Yes. For so many women, I mean, I talk about feeling called to write a book, and that's really what it feels like, right? Is when you're meant, quote unquote, meant to write a book, it's like it has a hold on you and it won't leave you. Even if you keep procrastinating, even if you say, oh, this year I'll write the book, and then it doesn't happen. What I would say is, you are worth it. Your dream is worth it. Your desire is worth it. And if you're meant to write this book, it will be a source of huge fulfillment to you to follow through on this dream. And I would say, do not miss out on that. Do not deny yourself that experience. You are worth it. Go for it.
Listen to that pull, listen to that voice, listen
Yeah.
to that call on your heart.
Hmm. Yes.
And then I loved kind of going back to what you call the mindset, of like you're an author, right? Like it's kind of an
Mhm.
invitation. At the same time, you have to walk as if it's already done.
Yes. 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 And I find it so ironic that, I people will say, "Oh, I'm not an author because I haven't written a book yet." And it's like, no, we've got to bring that identity of authorship into ourselves now so we can write the book. Writers write, and so it's an active process. You don't have to wait to have a physical book in your hand to call yourself an author. It's about your identity. It's about choosing it. That's what identity is. It's the choice that you make. Who are you being?
And if you're ready for it, I know not everybody will be ready for this, and it will can be like a high level concept, but it
Hmm.
is already done. There is a timeline that you can choose where
Hmm.
at that timeline it's fulfilled. It's the
Hmm.
same with kind of, so this is like the truth of that walking as if teaching, but it's deeper because it's in the codes of your essence. Just at like the highest timeline of the best of sweetheart is available. Just like the timeline of your purpose of doing work that actually lights you up, days that are filled with more play, with joy, with if you remember that 5 or 6 year old self,
Hmm.
like you have the magic wand and you
Right.
can literally create that timeline. If you are ready to blow up
Right.
some of these limitations,
Right.
and this is one of them that you are already, that book is done.
Right.
And
Right.
dance with that possibility. I loved how you did a meditation. So I had a session with you, and a
Hmm.
part of your beautiful process is just such a tailored, such a. I mean, this is why I love you so much. Is that the space that you hold, the gentleness you have, the attention you give, and the meditation.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, that's something I bring to the process is I love how you reframed what I had said before for your own experience, that you were talking about your energy, not about mindset. That's something that I bring to the writing process too, and to
Yeah.
coaching is, let's pause this thinking process and check in with ourselves on a soul level, on an embodied level, check into the intuition. Let's work with that. That's the foundation. That's where the life force creative authorship energy comes from. It's not from the head. We can incorporate our intellect with writing, certainly. That again, that's the masculine structure. But if we neglect the feminine flow, the meditation, the life force, this energy, the book will fall flat. And we don't want that to happen.
Amy, send me all the links. I'm going to
Okay.
add them to the show notes. So anybody listening, follow Amy, connect with Amy. If you've thought about a book, Amy is just fantastic. I mean, her heart, her soul is in the right place. I think you got the energy, her energy codes, and you know what you would be in for. I mean, it's just the most beautiful, gentle, and supportive way to come, to bring forward your message. So thank you so much for all you do, Amy.